Yo. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the grand finale of the DeviantART Iceberg by Nora. So, without further ado, let's finish this. Well, we've done it. We've reached the very bottom of this museum of art and degeneracy. And where do we find ourselves now? Purgatory? Hell? Perhaps some combination of the two? Nay, it is but the final layer, the dark catacombs of this place, where the most obscure, disturbed, and interesting subjects and stories lay in wait. Some are perhaps forgotten here. Others perhaps wish to be forgotten. So, let us finish our journey, dear traveler. Sasha Tigis. To start things off, we have an extremely tragic and dark entry. Born August 5th of 1955, Donna C., or more known for her persona's name, Sasha Tigis, or Tigress perhaps, was a furry who frequented many furry meets and furry conventions, including Anthrocon since 2005 and FA United 2007, who didn't really make much of a name for herself, outside of something I'll get into in a moment. She was just but one of many in a sea of furries. But soon her name would become known by many after a tragic incident. In mid-August of 2015, Sasha was found murdered and body left in the yard of her at the time boyfriend's place, whom she met on a dating site called Plenty of Fish. 57-year-old George Bagenwald was an immediate suspect, as he had a long history of assault and battery on women, as well as being the last person Donna was spotted around, with reports from co-workers that Donna had bruises all over her body just weeks before she was murdered. George would plead guilty to criminal homicide, abuse of a corpse, and tampering with evidence, with an autopsy showing massive blunt force trauma to the head and chest area. In fact, it was so brutal that her skull had caved in. She had several broken ribs, and there was even signs of sexual assault. In 2016, Bagenwald pled no contest to the charges in Sasha's death, and was sentenced to 20 to 40 years in prison, likely at his age to die in there where he belongs. Now, that is where her story ends, with her various pages remaining as a reminder of who she was, and what she was passionate about. However, in my research for this topic, I found that Sasha also had a son who I feel is worth bringing up. Lupin Wolf, in full Lupin V. Wolf, real name Matthew C.C., born October 2nd of 1986, is the son of Sasha, and has become a very infamous figure in the furry community, for all the following reasons. To start, around 2005, Lupin was in an abusive relationship with fellow furry Fox, who is also, again, a rather infamous figure. Man, I'm starting to see a bit of a pattern here. For assaulting other furries at cons, amongst many other things, which saw Lupin starving and locked in, unable to leave their rented room due to Fox keeping him held captive. This particular situation was actually commented upon by Sasha in a LiveJournal post entitled "The Truth as I Know It," where she notes how Lupin wasn't even allowed to go to the bathroom without Fox's expressed permission, amongst many other things. However, that's where Lupin being the victim ends, as on September 11th of 2008, Lupin chased after a 13-year-old boy in Stockholm in the hopes of having sexual relations with him. You really can't make this kind of fucked up shit up. He also admitted to having CP on his computer, despite being on probation for also having the same thing on his computer back in 2007 apparently. He was sentenced to 7 years in prison, having previously pleaded guilty on April of 2008 to second-degree attempted sexual assault, fourth-degree endangering and welfare of a child by possessing CP, and probation violation. So yeah, and once again, on December 8th of 2020, Mr. C was then arrested due to parole violations. He is quite clearly a menace to society, and a monster who should take up permanent residence in prison at this point. After all that he's done and continues to do, it's clear that he will do it yet again. It is yet another disgusting tragedy in the web of furry drama, murder, and sexual abuse. Magazine 7. Now this one is best explained in detail by YouTuber The Internet Investigator, with her video covering the topic being the only remaining evidence of this account existing, since it has since been taken down. The basic rundown is this account featured a 40-something-year-old man talking about how his parents beat him, punish him for various insignificant things, bathe him, make him have an exact bedtime, and all sorts of other weird stuff. That is both abusive and also just kind of strange to be doing since he's 40-something years old at this point. Now, there is more details about this, from looking at the page and the crazy comments, posts, and thoughts on the page from both the 40-something-year-old son and the supposed parents of the man. But to cut to the chase, there are two conclusions that can be taken from this page. Either it is a page of a mentally disabled man who requires the constant care of others being his parents who love beating him and think that it is legitimately helping him and making them more healthy, I guess. Or this is just a weird-ass fetish account, probably related to BDSM, or a sub/dom type relationship. And this page is all just part of a LARP that they are all participating in. It could also be all that, but it's also just run by one guy LARPing as the whole thing. Again, if you are looking for more details about this one, then I highly recommend checking out the Internet Investigator's video on the topic. Tulip07, remembered for both her role on the Planet Dolan YouTube channel and the art that she shared on DA, Tulip, real name Miranda, is an utterly tragic loss of life. While the events leading up to it are still not known, in April of 2021, Miranda would take her own life, the news being broken by her girlfriend. Mean Mark 93, as suggested by Limeberry Peach. This strange user seems to have quite a few fetishes, though they all connect together under the general umbrella of transformation art. There are several pieces depicting women's youth being taken from them, or growing old, or people's ages being swapped, that sort of thing. This is also sometimes combined with foot fetish stuff, as seen here in this animation. Oh yeah, he has a major foot fetish as well. I suppose I should have noted that. He also has a thing for vegetizing female celebrities, which as you can see here, he has done quite a few times at this point. However, what is without a doubt the strangest of these transformation pieces are the ones where he transforms female celebrities into fooglies from the Spy Kids films. If you know the context for this, then it's even more creepy, but honestly, regardless, even without that, these are shockingly uncanny. It would also seem that people commission him for this art, or at least he makes a lot of posts about commissions being open. I guess we could never really know how many he actually gets, since they probably just all go to his DMs to work out the prices. He's also a part of the Hypnotized Feet group on DA, which is, well, according to the page, says, quote, "We are a group of people who have both foot fetish and hypnosis fetish. This combination of fetishes is quite underrepresented in the art and fetish community. Therefore, Hypnotized Feet was created to bring together people who share this apparently rare kink," unquote. So then, as one does, I took a little peek around just to see what this actually was all about, since the opener didn't really explain it all that well. And for the most part, from what I gathered, it really is just people being hypnotized, which is indeed a fetish all of its own, but with bare feet being involved in the picture somewhere. It's not your feet being hypnotized or people being hypnotized by feet, it's just people who are hypnotized with feet showcased somewhere. But also, as another side tangent in the comment section of this group, I couldn't help but notice that the chat was almost entirely dead, besides one man who went by the username EvilTwin Mordred, who had some choice words for this group not accepting his written works. Quote, "Again, I have requested my story, The Mysteries of Armand Dupont, be posted in the literature section of this group. Nearly a month has elapsed since I submitted the first chapter. Each chapter involves age-appropriate women both barefoot and hypnotized, and otherwise conform to the rules here. I appreciate your efforts, but would like some word that they will be accepted, or some explanation as to why they are rejected. Hello? Is anyone planning on responding? Is this your way of saying my submissions are no longer welcome? Still no answer. My stories are all within your guidelines. I have been posting here for several years. Suddenly, I have stopped doing so. Several months ago, I politely asked why. No answer. I asked again. No answer. If I have broken some obscure rule, please have the courtesy of explaining what I have done to deserve this degree of rudeness. If I am no longer welcome here, have the guts to tell me that." Unquote. I guess the thought never occurred to him that the group admins and people running this thing might have since fucked off, and that's the reason no one's responding to him, because the group is dead. But but yeah, very interesting and obscure little corner of DA to say the least. SpongeBat 1, as suggested by CherryNGT. So I could tell this one was gonna be interesting as soon as I noticed the blacked out icon and a bio that read, quote, "I like writing not safe for work fetish fanfiction of children's cartoons and games. Or at least I did until it all went wrong." I wonder how it all went wrong, fellas. Let's find out. Well, to start, he does make art related to him being a starving artist with emotional issues who is awkward, and you kind of already know how that story goes. He also makes images like these, which depicts his Sonic OC looking to spend some quality gamer time with you. He notes under this post, quote, "I wanted to save stuff like this until after the relevant story, but I just like this too much, and I feel kind of bad for making you guys wait so long between uploads. Just a fun little image of my Sonic OC gamer girl chillaxin'. You'll find out more about her as soon as I get off my lazy ass and start writing again." Unquote. Also, in bold font, he notes, quote, "Any comments asking about my old animations / requests / anything else irrelevant will be ignored. If you absolutely need to ask me something, send a note or comment on my profile." Unquote. Hinting that he used to have stuff he made that has since been taken down. This is foreshadowing, by the way, not just for this user, but for something far grander we will be getting on to later on, that involves the entire website. Besides that, he has a ton of fanfictions he's written, usually of the erotic nature. However, sadly the bulk of this man's work and what he was most well known for has since been wiped off the internet. By him, as noted here in this comment from Looking for Stuff 1248. Quote, "I loved your animations. You should have at least kept them in some deep, dark catacomb instead of outright blasting them off of here in DeviantArt. I understand if you want to take a break though." Unquote. I'm not sure of what these animations entailed, but judging by the descriptions and the general fact that they are now gone from the internet, they were probably a bit too raunchy to show on YouTube anyway. So, oh well. Coco Tapioca, as suggested by the Dill Pickle Man. Aw, now this one is legendary in some circles. So while his account is still up, nothing here art-wise is why he is on this iceberg. No, instead it's this comic titled Hey Andy Sweetie, which while the exact upload date is unknown, it was far from the only piece done by Andy, depicting him and Princess Peach's loving relationship. Later on December 17th of 2004, a thread about Ray's artwork was submitted to the Neo Geo forums, where his artwork and comics were ridiculed and were generally seen as cringy. Then later on February 27th of 2008, YouTuber The Wesker uploaded a video titled Hey Andy Sweetie, which has an interesting twist on the webcomic as seen here.
Hey Andy Sweetie! I'm making a map.
A map? But that looks like a close-up of my eyes?
That's exactly right, Pete. A map of your eyes, 'cause I can find myself getting lost in them.
This video would end up getting pretty popular, and as time went on and people's senses of humor became extra acclimated to this, let's just say, it only got more popular, and with many making drawings, memes, and other such content around the comic and the video, as it became a funny in-joke to share around and talk about and share, generally speaking. Later on, YouTuber Salty DK Dan would also make a pretty popular video about the meme back in January of 2019. It was the joke that just kept coming back. But what about Andy? What did he think of all this? Well, actually, in July of 2019, he wrote a DA journal expressing exactly how he felt, and reflecting on how now over a decade of internet, stardom, infamy, whatever you want to call it, has affected him. Quote, "I don't know what inclined me to check my page here, but I was surprised to see how many people are messaging me and wondering where I am or what I'm up to. So here is one final update. Let me begin by saying that although I am not very proud today of the publicity I received in 2004, I wouldn't change it if I could. I met some interesting people because of it, and formed bonds and friendships with some of the most wonderful people I know today. I think the majority of people will agree that my art has improved tremendously, and I actually really like my more recent stuff. I'm still drawing from time to time, but I'm no longer posting it here. My old username will always be relevant to me, but alas, it is one I can no longer use, as I feel it will forever be associated with my past works, rather than the cool boss from Space Channel 5. I can't blame the trolls and haters over the years. I had it coming. I was so naive and posted some pretty bold things without even considering the possibility of the inevitable outcome. I wasn't too internet savvy, and in all honesty back then, I thought I was original in the stuff I created and posted. Of course, today I look back on it and facepalm, but I've moved on. I want to thank everyone who praised me over the years. To know there are kind-hearted people throughout the globe gives me optimism in my outlook on life. Someone can set themselves up for mockery, and yet some people will see beyond the quirks and see a side that haters are oblivious to. It's you that I will forever be grateful to, including some of the closest friends I've made out of it. I also want to thank the haters and the trolls. Shocking as it might come, I feel they also played a huge role in shaping me into a better person. Don't get me wrong, I don't condone that behavior at all, and I don't wish it upon anyone for being themselves. Nonetheless, as much as I don't like to acknowledge it, there were a few hateful comments that, whether intended or not, ended up being constructive criticisms. Still, trolls will be trolls, and I can't say I'm surprised that there are still people 15 years later who are living in the past. In a way, the trolls won in somewhat forcing me to abandon my old user screen name, while at the same time I feel as though I won in that I've risen above them and have moved on and improved in life. For those who have been wondering what I am up to nowadays, whether or not I died, well, here I am, alive and well. I currently work as a building engineer and am practically running an entire office building on my own, to include electric, HVAC, and overall repairing just about everything. It's a challenging and greatly rewarding job, and I am well on my way to retirement. I mean, I'm in my mid-30s, so it won't be anytime soon obviously, but my life's goals are being exceeded. I thought it might be cool to also say that I am happily married with 2 kids, but the reality in that department is that I am happily single, and am fulfilling my own passions in life. I've done a bit of traveling and have a few places I plan to vacation to in the near future. In summary, I want to say thank you to both the people who supported me since the beginning, and the haters who have had nothing but negativity to throw my way, but mostly to the supportive individuals. I'm thriving in life, and felt I should let everyone know what's been up with me rather than just disappearing from the internet altogether. This will likely be the last time I'm on this account, so farewell to all. Sincerely, Andy Sweetie. Edit. I especially want to give a huge thanks to the Giantess community for making these past few years very enjoyable for me. I simply cannot express how wonderful it felt to be part of such an awesome thing. Your love and inspiration will always be with me, unquote. So yeah, all things considered, pretty reflective and interesting to see. Sort timid / bimbofication, as suggested by Cheeseball. To start, bimbofication is a type of fetish and genre in which people are transformed into hypersexualized caricatures of themselves, typically featuring big ass and boob combos and things of that sort. I've also seen some stuff where there is a gender swap element, with men transforming into women this way as well. While it is unknown where this fetish came from, by 2013 a subreddit was created around the fetish, and there was, of course, plenty of art related to this on DA. Anyway, that's the general gist of bimbofication. But an interesting controversy sprouted from this community when artist Sortmid, who was also very much popular for making art related to this fetish, created this image on February 9th of 2017. Of a tanned blonde woman in heels and a dress transforming into a brunette in jeans after reading a book titled CMSN, Debimbofication, which was meant to be a joke related to the fetish. However, then on February 15th of 2017, Twitter user @Hasofria posted this tweet about the drawing, mocking it, and this ended up stirring up a lot of controversy, as most people thought that this drawing was specifically made as a social commentary about sexism and society and all that other shit, when in reality it was just a stupid joke shared around in a fetish community related to said fetish. YouTubers like Philip DeFranco would also end up talking about this image, and several sites and people shared it around, as well as laughing about the fact that so many people got upset over fetish material that they ended up taking way too seriously, which funnily enough also spread word of said fetish to way more people and jump-started a bunch of careers for people in that said community, apparently since so many eyes were now on them at this point. So I guess it was a pretty good accidental advertising campaign, I suppose. Big knee lover / big knee fetish, as suggested by Shiny Laurantis. This one, as the name implies, is about people with a big knee fetish, or weirdly saggy knees like these seen here. Big knee lover clearly being a big fan of them, which was interesting to see since this was one of those fetishes that genuinely made me take pause, as I realized that I am going to go my whole life continuing to learn of strange little fetish corners like these, and no matter how much I think I've seen it all, something will always come around to prove me wrong. And speaking of, bonus entry, Peter Griffith fetish. Now when I say Peter Griffith, what I mean specifically is Peter Griffin from the adult cartoon Family Guy, mixed with Griffith from the manga series Berserk. This is based on a pun, with their names being somewhat similar, of course, and many might be familiar with some of these images. But what many probably don't know is that on DA there used to be an obscure group dedicated to drawing pictures of this mixture of Griffith and Peter, and while it was never super huge, it did have several more pictures of the character mashup, including, but of course, fetish art. Now some of this seems like it was done for a bit of a LARP, you know, a bit of a meme, but there was also people who were pretending to worship this depiction of Griffith as a sort of god, and many comments praising him could be seen there. And some of that art was just pretty detailed anyway. Sadly though, the group seems to have been wiped clean from the site, so I can't really show you anything from it. But I do remember coming across this a few months back in my research for any truly obscure corners of the site. I would show you some of the pictures, but again, they are way too much for YouTube standards. Really makes me wish I took some screenshots of the group at the very least at the time. But still, all the same, a very strange, obscure corner all the same. Dev-Catscratch, as suggested by Nanini Sandwich. Aw, now this one is yet another one of those entries where I knew I had my work cut out for me as soon as I saw the absolutely massive ED page that was dedicated to him. To start, first though, looking over his DA page, he was born on March 24th of 1985, and has been a deviant for 17 years, and checking over their account profile reveals some interesting content. To start, he makes a lot of these posts called Your Thoughts, which are just a picture with a question accompanying it with some examples being Your Thoughts, censorship of navels, which he notes, quote, some cultures consider showing one to be taboo, such as in K-pop, and I've seen a number of pieces of Indian animation which do not show them on bare bellies. In the case of Star Trek, Tyranians have 2 navels due to a dual circulatory system. The censors objected to them being shown, unquote. To which the first reply here says, and I quote, suck my dick, or in this one, titled Your Thoughts, Nudism Cleansing Your Spirit, which he notes, quote, a number of murals contain a hidden message that nudism can help cleanse your spirit, unquote. To which the first comment said, are you fucking insane? Clown emoji, skull emoji, concerned look emoji, camera emoji. He also has these pictures where he requests that more fan art be made of random kids cartoons. Oh, and fetish art, such as these hundreds of drawings of children's cartoon characters being depicted as fat asses, many of which happen to be in wheelbarrows I suppose to get around. A lot, and I do mean a lot of stuff related to belly buttons, such as button bows, or characters popping stuff out of their belly buttons, or characters with an actual, like, shirt button for a belly button, etc., are all on his page as well. However, beyond the basics of what one can read from his DA page, I decided to then take a look over at the ED page, as well as the farms to see what other info about this man was available. My god, did I ever get some info. To start, in addition to his inflation and belly button fetishes, he also has a thing for powerline insulators because, they have pretty colors. He even has a Blue's Clues OC based around insulators. So, that's pretty unique, I guess. He also likes raising awareness for certain things and makes a lot of PSA drawings with many of his favorite cartoon characters, as can be seen here, which ties in nicely with his YouTube channel, where he also often talks like a walking PSA, as well as rants about various things, all of which he has ran for over 13 years. So let's take a peek at a few of them, shall we? Starting with one where he talks about his Wheelbarrow character drawings from before.
I have made it to my 100th piece of a cartoon character, mainly children, a beast in a wheelbarrow, just like the original parody, of which I would like some insight from who masterminded it. Do you know of anyone else who capitalised on this parody, and if so, when? I believe that I was the first to capitalise on this parody in May 2012, and on average, when I started, I made one character like this every week. As mentioned earlier, my first piece was Pajama Sam, and my first female character I made her like it was Blue from the once popular Blue's Clues. The first request of such a piece I received was Gumball from the Amazing World of Gumball. Over time, I happened to include characters from minorities, which not only highlights childhood obesity, but also the fact that fast food companies have been known to prey on minorities, such as African American characters such as Myron from Wayside, my first piece with a minority group character, and Molly from Bubble Guppies, as well as Hispanic Latino characters such as Diego and popular Dog Explorer, and I even received requests for a minority character, being Reggie from Rocket Power. At one time, I mainly did male characters, but I have surged ahead with female characters at another time. My 100th piece is Nick Jr.'s Little Bill, and that there are no plans to stop. For new editions for such pieces, please go to the link in the video description box.
Then we have a video about his sudden interest in baby versions of Nicktoon characters.
Back in 2002, I started thinking about baby versions of Nickelodeon cartoon characters since I watched Rugrats earlier on. Then it really started in 2008 when I started turning Nickelodeon cartoon characters into cute babies, of which my favourites are Walden from Wow Wow Wubsy and Dana from Wayside. In Google Play, Cupcake Digital offers a game where you can look up the Baby Yo Gabba Gabba characters, so I think there should be a Wow Wow Wubsy version of this game since Cupcake Digital makes a number of Wow Wow Wubsy games. Also, There should be other games where you look after your favourite baby version of a Nickelodeon cartoon character as well, which should be kid-friendly. There is even a Wikipedia article on younger and junior versions of characters as well. I even think that there should even be a Baby Nicktoons hour every week on Nickelodeon, with shows where a number of common characters, especially children, have been turned into cute babies. Be sure to check out my Baby Nicktoons group on DeviantArt as well.
Then we have one about why baby characters should be breastfed in children's cartoons.
You may know of the benefits of breastfeeding for both mother and child, and is important for the first 6 months from birth. 2 cartoons which had at least one commonly used baby character, those being Arthur and Nickelodeon's Rugrats, did not have any breastfeeding of babies at all. Children may have seen calves feeding off mother cows, and even family kittens and puppies feeding off their mother's milk. If such children's cartoons with commonly used baby characters are breastfed, this can promote the value of breastfeeding of babies, especially if the parent watches the cartoon with their children. Breastfeeding of babies in cartoons. Natural, not offensive.
If it wasn't apparent to you by now, Bryce isn't exactly all put together, so to speak, but was all the same an individual who people were fascinated by, from his weird obsessions, thoughts, demeanor, and general oddity that surrounded him, eventually leading to a thread in Kiwi Farms being created about him. Something which Bryce is aware exists, and happens to have made a video addressing, as seen here, which is a bit longer, but I'll show you some clips from it.
In February 2016, I have discovered unsavoury discussion about me regarding having autism, which was Kiwi Farms, a hostile and abusive online environment where people are abused, harassed and trolled based on real or perceived disability. A few months later, I was sent abusive messages on DeviantArt regarding my disability, autism, and I had to avoid this instead of being subjected to it because the comment reporting system of DeviantArt was not easy to use compared to YouTube where comments can be flagged without having to leave the current page. It took a great amount and gathering of courage to report this abuse, considering the difficult to use reporting system on DeviantArt. The owner of Kiwi Farms, Joshua Connor Moon, has actively engaged in this hostility and to a certain extent actively controlled, directed, encouraged, supported and facilitated the activities of members of Kiwi Farms and acts thereof in violation of United States law.
I could go on a while longer, but by now I think that you've more than gotten the point. He's a rather strange subject, who is still continuing to make content and stuff to this very day. Ultimately though, it doesn't seem like he's really harming anybody, even if some of the things he's requesting and wants are really weird and kind of creepy. Erkan Sabat. Turkish artist Sahit Erkan Sabat didn't have the largest following, but his talent certainly garnered him some modest collection of eager fans, always excited to see his next detailed portrait. Unfortunately, as many are aware, the country of Turkey was in shambles with a rising cascade of violence that eventually erupted into the 2016 Atatürk airport attack. Gunmen armed with automatic weapons and explosives stormed Terminal 2 of the airport. Chechen rebel and Islamic extremist Arkhmed Chanchev is believed to have been the instigator of the attack, along with Rakhim Bulgarov, Vladimir Osmanov, and a third unknown suicide bomber. Sahit was one of the 47 that lost their lives that day in a senseless act of violence. May they rest in peace. And on a sadly similar note, Maxi official, Ukraine Flight 752 is still remembered as a horrific tragedy, and nowhere is that more evident than in the death of Maxi official. At just 16, Maxi, real name Dorsa Ganchi, was an immensely talented 3D artist, with much of her art garnering overwhelming praise and admiration from many. She had boarded Ukraine International Airlines Flight 752 for a scheduled international passenger flight from Tehran to Kyiv, accompanied by her brother and mother. The three, along with all the passengers and crew, would be shot down shortly after departure, resulting in the deaths of all 173 aboard. Viewing her page now comes with the somber realization that such a young person was cut down in her prime, happily replying to comments, and gone the next. Even so, people to this day still visit her page, with wishes of a peaceful rest. The Angelic Bliss, March 25th, 2017. Angelic, real name Lachelle Goodwin, and her younger sister were murdered by their father, Carlton Goodwin. This piece of shit shot Lachelle and her sister before killing their mother, and then finally turning the gun on himself. It's a real tragedy, especially when you look at Lachelle's page and see what a sweet and positive person she was to all her friends and loved ones. May she rest in peace. Timon Burkowitz, as suggested by The Real Abby. Alright, time for yet another extremely strange account full of some extremely strange rabbit holes to dive into. My favorite. Timon Burkowitz is, to start, a very, very, very big fan of The Lion King, and in particular the character of Timon, as you are sure to see across their page. In fact, he was such a big fan of Timon that he actually runs a Timon fan club on DeviantArt, and is well known for being quite prolific in the early scene of Lion King and Timon related fan art on DeviantArt. Which is interesting because that also means that many were subjected to Timon, as well as various other Looney Tunes characters and cartoon related characters being put into fetish situations of all kinds, including scat and diaper-related stuff being the most common on his page. This is often mixed with Christian stuff and social justice stuff as well from time to time. It's all a rather bizarre combination of things, such as this piece entitled Soulful Moment, where Timon is talking to this girl about the Bible, I guess, and seems to have started to shit his pants. Or this one entitled Sissy Kinky Timon at the Meerkat Library, where Timon, in drag, asks the librarian, "Oh hello, Mr. Librarian, I have to go poo-poo. I would like to poop myself. Can I do it in the library?" And then we have this one, entitled Simba, Marilyn Manson fanboy, where Simba is clearly a huge fanboy of Marilyn Manson, right next to a drawing entitled Simba and Mufasa's Feet Play, where the adult Simba licks his father's feet, who should be dead, but isn't, and what the actual fuck is this? I guess you can add incest to the various other fetishes you can find on this page. Mind you, there are dozens of pictures like these, many of which I cannot show you here on YouTube as they are far more explicit. We also have this one entitled Black Lives Matter, Furry, which is, yeah. And then you have this one about gays against guns. And then you have this one titled Our Big Brother, which shows the Warner siblings all together crying in happiness, all having freshly pissed the bed together. Now, isn't that just wholesome, wonderful content? There's also more in a Google Doc that he has on his page, but again, I don't want to delve into that, because it is, well, too much for YouTube. But beyond his drawings, there are also a ton of pictures of his plushies, and himself in various poses. I'll just show some of these off for you in a real quick fashion, along with their accompanying title. Here's one of Scooby-Doo in an outfit titled Giant Scooby-Doo Plush and his bulges. Bugs Bunny Loves Gunk. Gay Tigger Large Plush. Footsies with Miko. Wile E. Coyote wearing a Disney princess swimsuit. That is a fucking big plushie, by the way, holy shit. Huge Tom from Tom and Jerry plush under a urinal. Giant Disney plush Mushu by Douglas. Oh no. Yeah. I think that's enough plush pictures for now. Mind you, there are several pictures I have here of him hanging out in his house, cuddling with his plushies, and generally being himself, I suppose. Yeah, this is one of those pages that the longer you look at, the more filled with dread one becomes, or at least I certainly did. Then, by the time I thought I had seen pretty much everything this person has to offer, I noticed that they were a part of the Basil X Olivia group, which, bear in mind, these are characters from the Great Mouse Detective movie by Disney, Basil being an adult mouse, and Olivia being a little child mouse. So I clicked on the page wondering what the fuck I was about to see, only to be greeted with an opening picture stating, Basil and Olivia Fan Club. For those who still believe in this couple, are not afraid to say it. Then, when you look at the rules, it states, quote, we are a club that ships Basil with older Olivia. We just changed a bit their ages and made them fix. In Victorian times, older men married younger women, so it's not so weird, as long as we keep her older enough. If you don't ship this couple, it's okay, but please don't spam our club with annoying comments about what's right or wrong. We respect other shippings and clubs, and we want people to respect ours. Thank you for understanding, unquote. So, that's pretty interesting. I wonder how these people first thought of the idea to make this child character pair up with an adult. I wonder if it started with them being aged up in their mind, or if it wasn't. I guess we'll never know. Now, before we go on to the next entry, I figured I'd show you his YouTube channel, Captain Woodruff, in this video by him titled Captain Woodruff's Easter Celebration.
Happy Easter, everybody. I am Captain Woodruff, the bunny. I'm here to share with you guys some nice Easter snuggles for all those fans of bunny plushies and everything soft and fluffy that there is out there. So I want you to first meet some friends of mine. Just wait there. Oh, right here we have Benny, big Benny. Look at this Benny. He's a nice Benny. This bunny was made by Kids of America. I don't know exactly when, but he's very big. He had to be specially stuffed because they made him very understuffed. He looked much smaller until I gave him a little bit more fluff and snuggles. Got him a little denser. He's got this beautifully big, cute face, giant bunny beard that goes all the way down to his super fluffy chest, huge strong legs, nice soft snuggly pink color, so extremely friendly. It's just very snuggable. There, tap, bend, 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 bend. Boop. You like the bend? Isn't he nice? Snuggle time. Benny. Benny, Benny, Benny. Okay, we got a couple more friends to get through, so I can't wait around. We'll snuggle you some other time. Let's see. Okay. And here we have another Benny. Benny, Benny.
Yeah, I think that's enough of this guy for now. So, moving on, I suppose. Austinator 06302012, as suggested by Pokemon Trainer Andre. Okay, so this one is very obscure and appropriately bizarre. Austinator, or Austin M. Small, describes himself as, quote, I am Austinator Numbers, aka Austin Michael Small, and I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I don't post art here much, as I'm primarily a YouTuber. The numbers in my alias refer to my baptism date of June 30th of 2012, unquote. His gallery has pretty much nothing besides 2 rants about the state of Paper Mario and Wario Land. However, Austin is well known on DA for spamming his YouTube page, and other stuff around for people unprompted. And then when people respond or make fun of him for doing this, or any other stuff we're going to get to in a moment, he then says something like this, quote, "At this point, I have no qualms with you telling apostates on YouTube about me. Besides, your responses are just as worthless as Hayao Miyazaki and the entirety of Studio Ghibli," unquote. With a link to a video which I suppose, since he's so keen on sharing around, we ought to take a quick peek at and see what it's all about. A video which, might I say, starts out with a picture of someone's feet. We're off to a wonderful start.
What an idiot. What a loser. Hey everybody, welcome to AnimationSa. And as you probably may have figured out from the thumbnail from that teaser trailer, this really alludes to what was supposed to be Hayao Miyazaki's final film, The Wind Rises. So today in this essay, today marks the 10th anniversary since there's a original Japanese release in July 20th, 2013. So because it's the 10th anniversary, I'm going to discuss why its vanity and futility is so sniffed. But to understand it, we have to take a look at the situation with animation back in 2013. It was back in 2013, and by this time, in 2013, as indicated by the article you see here, there's actually concerns because they're concerned about Hollywood producing too much animation, and as seen as these articles that will be in the script that will be linked in the description.
Show you more of this, but I'm going to be real with you. If you thought he was building towards a point in this animation video essay, as he calls it, you wouldn't find any. He just kind of says stuff, stumbling over his own words, and clearly seems to be suffering from some sort of mental issue. Looking over the rest of his channel, you can find various videos of him playing what looks to be mobile games, speed running some of them, I guess, while the audio is clearly way too fucking loud in all of them, with an overlay of several feet all over the screen, as seen here as an example. He's been making this sort of content for years now, by the way. Looking back over on his DA page, I then noticed that his most recent journal had nearly 600 comments and a ton of views for a journal. So I decided to take a peek at it to see what it was all about. Oh my goodness. Well, while I'd like to read all this to you, actually, I'm lying, I really don't want to read all this to you, it's a waste of mine and your time. Nonetheless, I think I'll just skip past the giant rant about, Wario Land as a series dying or some shit, and move on to the part that's actually about PizzaTower and his beef with the fandom of it. Which, in case you didn't know, PizzaTower is a 2D platformer video game and indie game that looks like this and has some influences from Wario Land games, while also being its own thing. Quote, "PizzaTower, a pathetic imitation of Wario Land. As one of Jehovah's Witnesses, it's not difficult to see how Jehovah God views these types of games, especially considering that he labeled the political power of Egypt as feeble as a piece of straw in Ezekiel 29:6, as well as his rejection of all of David's older brothers as successors to Saul as king of Israel in 1 Samuel 16:7. In case you're curious what these verses say in the Bible that we currently use, here's what they says. Note, the Bible we currently use is the New World Translation of the Holy Scripture 2013 edition. First scripture is Ezekiel 29:6. Next is 1 Samuel 16:7. Then all the inhabitants of Egypt will have to know that I am Jehovah, for they were no more support to the house of Israel than a piece of straw. But Jehovah said to Samuel, "Do not pay attention to his appearance and how tall he is, for I have rejected him. For the way man sees is not the way God sees, because mere man sees what appears to the eyes, but Jehovah sees into the heart." Also, as mentioned in the DeviantArt, you see in my comments on your PizzaTower fanart, Wario Master of Disguise ruining of the Mario Land series was a deliberate act by Nintendo, especially considering how common of a practice this is in the world of video game business. Thus, no matter how hard indie developers try, nobody can truly replicate the feel of a Wario Land game. Besides, despite the game's visual and gameplay style, PizzaTower has nothing in common with Wario Land despite being used as an inspiration. This is because the story of the game misses the point as to why Wario Land for the most part replaced for 2D Mario for 14 years, as well as the fact that the main protagonist of the game's Peppino Spaghetti has one of the physical attributes and personality traits of Wario. The same can be said for other games that are inspired by the Wario Land series. Also, nothing in this world lasts forever, so the ultimate destiny of indie games is no different from AAA games, for it is written, "Furthermore, the world is passing away, and so its desire. But the one who does the will of God remains forever." He then concludes with this. Quote, conclusion. In conclusion, what I'm currently doing regarding PizzaTower, and to a lesser extent Anton Blast/Ball, fanart is simply warning of the inevitable slap to the face Nintendo will be giving to both the Wario Land series and R&D1. So no matter what you say in response to what I constantly post on your PizzaTower fanart, I will not stop what I am doing until 1. Wario gets sidelined in the next 3D Mario like he has in the spin-offs, 2. Nintendo uses Wario in the next 3D Mario game as the main antagonist in a way that flies in the face as to why R&D1 created him in the first place, or 3. Just simply don't use him at all. So get used to it, because no matter what nasty things you say about me in response to what I put on your PizzaTower fanart, I'm not stopping what I'm until either those things come true, unquote. Now, you're probably wondering, hey, Dylan, my bud. What did you just read to us right now? What was the last few minutes just spent doing? What does Wario and PizzaTower have to do with God or the Bible? And what the fuck was this man talking about half the time you were reading it? And my response to that, dear viewer, is that's an excellent question. So anyway, from what I've read in the comments, he's been posting under nearly every single piece of PizzaTower fanart and calling the art of the series a waste, which managed to piss off the fandom generally speaking, and get a fair bit of trolling tossed his way, which made people also realize that as much as he loves preaching about how he's a Jehovah's Witness and the like, if you go and look at his favorites on DeviantArt, you will then see several heaping pounds of fetish material, from foot fetish to fat fetish stuff and general DA degeneracy, which caused many people to call him a hypocrite and a degenerate generally speaking. It's clear the man wants attention and doesn't really have much of a life to speak of, though so many have since gone to just simply block and ignore him. Since it's clear that he's just a weirdo and maybe even a slight bit of a troll, maybe, but regardless, is a guy that just doesn't really make much sense and mostly just wants a reaction out of people. So yeah, moving on. EJW. Furry artist Elizabeth and her sister Tatiana, along with their 2 dogs, tragically met their end in an apparent murder/break-in on the night of February 14th of 2015. The apartment of James Wilbank and Tatiana was set ablaze, with the 2 along with Elizabeth and their 2 dogs meeting their demise. The cause of death was quite puzzlingly wasn't due to the fire, however, as all were found with gunshot wounds, with the identity of the shooter still a mystery. Elizabeth's page still remains to this day, with her art still gaining comments as people visit to pay their respects. May they rest in peace. Flutter by 727. On yet another terribly tragic note, cosplayer Samantha Michelle Nance was a budding anime artist whose life was tragically cut short in September 2009, as Daniel William murdered her in cold blood, quite gruesomely. Mind you, as crime reports show that she was nearly decapitated. He apparently killed her out of a jealous rage because he lived with her boyfriend and wanted her boyfriend for himself. Thankfully, that piece of shit got life in prison for his crimes, but it cannot change the horrific fate of this budding artist and massive Persona fan who had her whole life ahead of her. Seeing all these people meet their ends in such a tragic and horrific way truly does make one, or at least me, reflect on how precious life is. Not just for one's own life, but for those I love, and how truly evil those who would take the lives of others, and in such a horrific way, truly are. May she rest in peace. Screamer Claws, as suggested by Dr. Squidman. So this one has a bit of infamy attached to it, but it has less to do with the actual DA account, and more to do with the 2 animated films this person has created. See, this DA user has a website of his own under the same name, and has created 2 extremely infamous animated films. The 2012 Where the Dead Go to Die, and the 2015 When Blackbirds Fly, and some more recent short films posted onto his YouTube channel as well, as being available to purchase uncensored on his website. These films, Where the Dead Go to Die specifically, have been well known for being some of the most dark, gruesome, trippy, edgy, and overall crazy-ass animated films to be produced of their time. And though I'm not actually sure they are actually the darkest that exist, I've seen some darker ones, they certainly do go to some pretty crazy extremes. And I've even had some people call them the worst animated films ever created, due to their over-the-top violence and edginess. Having seen at least the first one of these films, I can say that yeah, it is pretty gruesome, but also at times interesting visually, as there are some very abstract and trippy and strange animation techniques used throughout. It's somewhat experimental, which seems to be something he continued to do on into this day. And I've also heard some people say that his work has actually gotten better in his more recent stuff. I've not seen those, and I don't really plan on watching more stuff from him just for the sake of this iceberg, especially because it's not a movie review we're doing, but I think you get the point. So, moving on. Brandon the Brony Pony, as suggested by Goat. So this is yet another one of those rabbit holes of a content creator that seems to go on and on and on and on, but admittingly under a much more simple premise and type of content. See, Brandon, as you might have guessed, is a brony. But more than that, he's in love with it seems like nearly every female pony in the cast of the show. The majority of his gallery are commissions and art pieces he's made of himself with many of these characters of the show, be they both in pony form, sometimes human form, sometimes he's in human form and they are a life-size pony, and other times he's shrunk down and small, and yeah, I think you get the idea. Also, he occasionally dips into other fandoms like DuckTales, I guess, once again shipping himself with some girl character from it. He's also got a second account specially made for art of him and this Sunset character, of which he has more art depicting his OC with her. And he also has a third account which he says he's dating, but in actuality is just an RP account of him being this character from the show, My Little Pony, that he talks to himself with to pretend that he is in a relationship with said pony. Yeah, moving past his DA though, he also has a YouTube channel with quite a lot of videos on it, and many of them are very interesting, might I add. To start, he has a channel intro, so why don't we give it a look to kind of see how he presents the whole thing.
Song downloading.
Do you want to see content you can't find anywhere else? Here on the Brandon the Brony Pony YouTube channel, you can find tons of content related to My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. Such content includes audio stories and song covers. The audio stories you can find exclusively on the Brandon the Brony Pony YouTube channel include An Equestrian Tale, an MLP in Real Life audiobook featuring Brandon and Aaron as the stars, who suddenly one day have ponies come into their lives. Our Mini Brony, A Friendship Tale, which follows the journey of Brandon as he travels to the magical land of Equestria after being sucked through a portal in his mirror, and he may even find love. Equestria Girls, A Brony at Canterlot High, which follows the journey of Brandon as he gets sucked into the world of Equestria Girls? Yep, and he gets adopted by his new mother, Lightning Star, and he has to go back to high school once again, and he may just meet his high school sweetheart. It'll be one shimmer of a spark. And many other smaller audios are coming to the channel as well, all based on Generation 4 of the My Little Pony series, whether it be shipping related, having a good time with bros, or even just a son bonding with his mother. There will certainly be no drought of content on the Brandon the Brony Pony YouTube channel, so subscribe! You don't want to miss the exciting Brony content coming to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell!
As noted in this channel trailer, much of his content is of course Brony and self-ship related, such as this one, of which is an audio self-shipping drama.
Come on, Brandon.
I'm coming, Try.
Something the matter? You look like you've seen a ghost.
No, I'm perfectly... Oh, God.
Brandon, are you scared of a bit of thunder?
No. Why would I?
Because you're as pale as a cloud.
That's just a side effect.
Right, and you're totally not scared. Come here. There. Is that better?
Much better. Yeah.
Good.
Or how about this one, in which is his own rendition of the Persona 5 intro to a series where he has a self-insert inserted into the Persona 5 story.
Who am I? Am I not from here? That's right, I'm not from here at all. Press the button, find it, a contract, unbreakable. Oh, it's useless. What could it mean that I'm here? Can I make a difference? If I don't break out of here, woke up into a new world. Time to adjust to my new life. I will not take this with strife. What's wrong with a little change? Just imagine being me. Probably wouldn't be easy, but I must do my duty. My entire life has changed.
Now, when I realized he also got involved with the Persona fandom and has a 36-minute episode one to this series of his, I just had to watch it to find out what sort of interesting content lay inside.
Little did he know that his life would soon turn upside down, just from something as simple as beating a game.
Man, I can't wait to start New Game Plus. New Game Extra? Huh? What's that? I'd better search this up.
One Google search later.
Weird. Nothing's coming up. Is this some kind of new automatic update? Well, I'm not complaining. More content for me. Let's try it. What the hell? Why did the TV turn off? Aw, man. I was really looking forward to playing. Oh well. Maybe some other time. I'm going to bed. I've been playing this for a while now.
Later that night.
Huh? Where the hell am I?
Welcome to the Velvet Room. Ah, I see you're new here. Or are you?
My head. Jeez, what happened?
Whoa! Jesus, you scared me. Almost thought you were just brought back from the dead.
It was most certainly unusual to find someone passed out in the middle of Shibuya, especially someone like you. Who are you?
I'm Brandon Hackworth. Nice to meet you. You two are Ryuji Sakamoto and Yusuke Katagawa, right?
How did you know our names?
Yeah. How the hell did you know that? some sort of stalker or something?
Well, I heard about you guys from Shujin Academy. Yeah. I'm not a stalker, I swear.
Right. I would make the assumption that you're a student there. You don't seem to be from Japan.
Oh, you think he's one of them foreign exchange students that were mentioned last week? I wasn't really listening, but that was the gist of what I got.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah, I'm an exchange student. Actually, would you guys want to hang out sometime? You both seem pretty cool.
I mean, sure, new kid. You're definitely on the weird side, but don't worry. You'll be with the right crowd.
Indeed. Normal isn't really the word I'd use to describe us.
Awesome! I'm so excited! Oh, sorry.
Yep, definitely got a weird one here.
Yeah, I tend to squeal a lot. I'm pretty energetic most of the time. I hope that's okay, bro. Hey.
Oh, hey. Brandon, shouldn't you be playing with the others?
Well, I noticed you were over here all by yourself. You think I wouldn't notice? Of course I'm gonna keep you company.
That's sweet, but I'm fine, really. I want you to have fun. I'm nothing special.
Of course you're special. You're special to me, An.
You're really sweet, Brandon. Thank you.
Hey, how about you and I hang out sometime? Just the two of us. I'll get a job in the city. It's my treat.
I'd like that very much.
Great. When are you free?
I'm free this Saturday.
What day is it today?
It's Monday, silly.
Then why aren't you in school?
Summer break. Duh.
Oh, right.
You sure are something, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that's it right there. That's some pure Kino content. He's also tried his hand several times at a series where he either gets inserted into the pony world or the ponies get inserted into his world. The latter of which half the cast gets transported to his house, and the other transported to this other man's house, which is a complete and utter shit den.
Thinking to yourself, hey! So, let me just tell you, this is the story of how my life changed, but in a weird way, that is. So, basically I'm just coming home from a short walk to the supermarket and picking up a few things. Why does it always have to be this?
I thought I told them no hot chili pepper! Ugh. Okay, this isn't funny anymore! Who are you? Where are you? Oh, it's just a talking horse. A talking horse! Ah! Ah! Ah!
What just happened?
Hi everyone, my name's Brandon. You may or may not know me. You just saw Zach's part of the story. Now it's my turn. This is the story of how my life completely changed forever. And not in the way you'd expect. Let's just say, things are about to get really weird. My story just starts with a normal day of me just watching some My Little Pony on my Roku. Back to watching MLP. Man, I love My Little Pony. Nothing can ever beat this.
Stop stressing! Stop stressing!
I think I'm gonna take a break. Oh my god. This can't be real. Am I seeing things right now? Are the ponies from MLP actually standing here in my room? Oh, this is so amazing!
Now I'd show you more, but I figure if you want to see more of this guy's content, you can go check out his channel for yourself. He is certainly a man who knows what he wants, and is willing to make and pull people together and pay for said thing to exist. That thing being having every character he wants to fuck also want to fuck him. Charcoal Man, as suggested by New. Consider this one a little callback to the creepypasta Iceberg. Charcoal Man is often considered one of the most prolific creepypasta artists online, with over 500 pieces of art depicting creepypasta characters old and new, as well as analog horror series and just general horror, but particularly stuff that comes from online stories. I know for a fact that I used several pieces of art from Charcoal Man during the process of making my creepypasta Iceberg, because often when no one else had made a piece of fan art relating to said creepypasta, you could always depend on Charcoal Man for a cool depiction of it. X Minotone Maestro. Jasmina Jazzy Green's life was tragically cut short due to heart failure, brought up by an eating disorder as a result of severe bullying. Though she suffered in life, her DeviantArt page shows the story of a budding young artist who went out of their way to make others smile and happy. Her obituary shows the love her family felt and their heartbreak, along with her DeviantArt page being showered with wishes of restful peace, and even many visiting every year to wish her happy birthday. Handbandana001. DA user Handbandana001, real name Sergeant Christopher Frost, was a war photographer using the art hosting platform for documenting the battle up close and personally during the war in Iraq. Akin to the news reports of the Vietnam War, his photos give an uncomfortable level of detail into a conflict you'd only hear bits and pieces of on the news. However, he and 7 Iraqi Air Force members would meet their end in a helicopter crash on March 5th of 2008. While the exacts of what caused the crash are not known, what we do know is that a dust storm was likely the cause. Zovanorath. In 2015, DeviantArt user SnoopyFem had planned and set out to commit what could have been one of the worst mass shootings in Canadian history. On February 12th, police received a tip that Snoopy, real name Lindsay Kanita Zovanorath, and 2 others, Randall Shepard and James Gamble, were planning an attack at a shopping center near Nova Scotia. The next day, one of the gunmen who would have joined in on the attack was found dead from a suicide, with Zovanorath being arrested hours later. Shepard and Zovanorath faced charges of conspiracy to commit murder, conspiracy to commit arson, conspiracy to use weapons for a dangerous purpose, and unlawfully conveying threats through social media, with Shepard getting 10 years in prison, and Zovanorath, or Lindsay, I have no idea if I'm saying her fucking name right or not, who gives a shit, getting life in prison, her being the puppet master of the whole thing. The two were also apparently frequenting Nazi groups online, and supposedly had planned to eliminate illegals in what she called a race war, or some dumb shit like that. But while we're on this terrible topic, Randy Stair /EGS Productions. Now this one is a lot to go over, and is no joke one of the darkest, weirdest, and most bizarre sections of this iceberg, and goes well beyond the world of internet stupidity and degeneracy, though there is still plenty of it involved in the story. And it just so happens that I have a very special guest here to collaborate with me to tell you all about Randy Stair.
Randy Stair /EGS Productions. Hi there. Most of you don't know me. My name is Saber. I make content very similar to Dylan, so if you want to check my shit out, then go ahead and do that. The story of Randy Stair was quite the rabbit hole to go through, and honestly I think it warrants its own video, just because of how much lore there is to this shit. But this is an iceberg, so I'm going to be as straightforward and to the point as possible. Back in 2006, Randy started out as a YouTuber. His content was mostly gameplay and unfunny skits. The gameplay itself was super unremarkable, and the skits themselves were, why don't I just show you? Why don't I just show you one?
Now stop it! Stay here! I'll have a word with you later! Randy, no!
Your turn.
Randy, please don't cry me a fucking river! You're gonna see! You see this? This is what you caused! You know what you are, Freddy? You're a slob that can't pull his own weight. You're an arrogant prick that feeds off my emotions. Day in and day out, do you know what you do? You bring me down into the depths of despair with a small glimmer for happiness.
Why are you doing this?
Because she told me to. All of his skits were like this. Like, they were so unfunny, they make Fred look like a creative genius. And it got to a point where he started to realize that his skits were just unfunny. Alright, so if you're making an art piece and people just aren't interested in it, what do? Most of you would probably say, just stop right there. You see, that's what a rational, mentally stable person would do. But, we'll come to find that Randy was the farthest from being mentally stable. So, like the skit I just showed you, he would start a series where he would systematically kill off the characters from his skits. Said characters being stuffed animals. Yeah, that's kind of the level of unfunny that we're working with here. After he would do this, seemingly out of nowhere, Randy would create not just a series on YouTube, but like a whole social network thing. It's kind of hard to explain, but I'll try anyway. But Randy seemed to like Danny Phantom. To be more specific, he was interested in a specific one-off character from the show, a ghost girl named Ember McLean. This guy was fucking obsessed with her. I mean borderline Chris Chan levels of obsession. I mean like it got to the point where he made 6 original characters based off of her. Most of his artwork was posted to DeviantArt, hence why it's on this iceberg in the first place. But you remember that social networking thing I mentioned earlier? This guy made a wiki fandom page for these characters and I think like 7 different Twitter accounts for them. He called this fictional group the Ember Ghost Squad, or EGS. His YouTube channel and his Twitter accounts are all suspended now, but his DeviantArt is still up. Because his accounts are suspended, I've had to go out of my way to find archives of all this shit. So some of the material you'll see was taken from other people's videos, and I'm not doing this to like plagiarize them. I actually can't find this shit anywhere because it's been deleted now. Whenever we get to that point, I'll put their usernames in the top corners so at least they'll get some credit. But essentially at this point in time, I guess you could call this the EGS arc of Randy's story. Anyway, whatever you want to call this part, this is where his mental state starts to decline, like a lot. Somehow Randy's content went from shitty to fucking batshit insane. Here's a couple of my favorite examples.
Oh, wah, oh, wah, oh, wah, oh, wah. I'm Lisa Candy! I'm Lisa Candy! If you don't, then it means war! I know you have it! Don't be a fat! Come on, don't be a gay-ass whore!
Hey! Get down on the road, you little fucking nit.
Also, apparently Randy seemed to really care about the Super Bowl.
I hope you all fucking die!
Now you probably thought it was unfair of me to compare Randy to Chris Chan earlier, but this is where the similarities start to actually line up with each other. So you see, Randy started to have these beliefs, like how when you die you become a ghost girl and you join the EGS squad in the afterlife. Even if you're a man, you still become a girl. The reason why he believed that part is because Randy was a closeted transsexual.
This is just when things started to change with me in 2013. It's when I started, I guess you could say cross-dressing, which is something you never knew I did. I was cross-dressing ever since high school. And what would happen would be when you guys would go to your bowling leagues and Jeremy would go with you, which was every Wednesday, I would either film a YouTube video, you know, back in early high school, you know, 9th, 10th, 11th grade. I would pretty much always film a YouTube video between 9th and 10th grade on every Wednesday when you would go out the door. So I would either film a video or I would cross-dress. And that's something I've kept to myself my whole life. I never told anybody about this. The more I wore girl clothes, the more I felt like that was who I was. Like I felt like I was a girl, and I found out that I was. I was never meant to be a guy. I was just a female soul trapped in a man's body my whole life. Every 3 days since like 2016, I've been shaving my arms and legs and entire body every 3 days. You wonder what I'm doing in the shower for so damn long? I'm shaving my entire fucking body. Nobody ever questioned that, which I don't know why. I hid it for the longest time. I kept the girl razor in my freaking desk over there. And I just got tired of hiding it. I'm like, well, they're gonna have to eventually know anyway, so I just started leaving it on the counter, but nobody questioned it, which I couldn't believe. That shocked me. As time went on, I thought like Rachel. Like I thought my name was always Rachel. But I don't know. But that's when that started, and that was the lead character for EGS. Me.
This was one of many feelings that Randy would state in his manifesto. He couldn't transition, so he made up a world where he was a girl the whole time. I'm saying manifesto. It was really more of a collection of files uploaded to Mediafire, which he would then tweet out on all 7 of his Twitter accounts. Was a collection of photographs of what he wrote in his journal, videos of him talking to himself while driving to work.
So, my last meal will most likely be Taco Bell.
And, an art piece that, trust me, you are not prepared for it. Let's start with the journal. The journal itself further details Randy's descent into madness, but it's a pretty long read, like a 3-hour long read. I ain't gonna do Dylan dirty like that, so just go watch that video and come back. Second was Randy talking to himself while he drives to work. These videos kind of give you a better picture of what's going on in his head.
What happened? What the fuck happened, man? I swear to goddess, what the hell happened? So, this is surreal right now, but I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think this is gonna be my last video. This is it. The last one. Just looking at everyone at the supermarket. The manager's coming in. Just messing around, talking about this and making fun of this or bitching about that or whatever. And it's just like 4 more nights, your whole lives are going to be turned upside down. Because of me. I'm going to fuck your life up. I can't wait. Alright. This is Andrew Blaze signing off for the last time. I'll see some of you soon. Enjoy the rest of your lives. Andrew, out.
And now, let's get to the fun part. In this art piece, actually, should I call this art? I don't think this qualified, whatever. The video, we'll just call it that, begins with 2 messages. To all the people who screwed me over on this video and left me hanging, fuck you. To all the animators who agreed to help and shoved me aside as if I didn't even matter, fuck you. To all the worthless people involved with this video in general who made me feel like I didn't even matter, fuck you. To anyone who agreed to help in general and made me feel like I didn't even matter, fuck you. To the fans who will appreciate what I managed to get done within 5 months completely on my own, thank you. There are going to be some missing shots left unfinished in the video with animatics in place of the black holes due to 0 of the 10 plus animators whom I've reached out to, even lifting a finger to help out. This was going to be something amazing. This was going to be something awesome. This was going to be something unique. In the end, what do I have? Hardly anything. Thanks to you good for nothing not sure if I can say that here. All of you animators can drop fucking dead. This was meant to be something spectacular, and all you did was crush my dreams for it. The animators just pushing me aside for more important work, when I was able to pay you for your outrageous fucking rate. Just fucking die. I'm gonna be fucking dead by the time you see this video. Congratulations, you fucking blew it. I hope you forever rethink what gets sent to you from now on. I hope you forever have the weight of the world crushing your spine into the fucking pavement. We then cut to Randy making out with his Mossberg 590 shotgun. We then get a scene of one of his OCs playing an Ice Spice song. We then cut to some fan art of, my fucking god, I'm gonna say this out loud. We then cut to some fan art of the Columbine shooters after they've exited the server.
I drew it. I drew my own version of that picture. I literally traced over it and made my own version of it. If you look really close, you will see it. But unless you know exactly what it looks like, you won't even notice that it's there.
While in the background, people are trading middle school level insults at each other.
Andrew's the leggiest, gayest kid in the county of Westboro!
What'd you say, bitch? Shut your mouth, you goddamn whore!
Hey, Andrew! I heard you like to print out girls' Facebook pics and jizz on their faces!
Hold her down, grab her legs!
Hey, look, there's Andrew drawing his little girls again!
Snip that bitch's hair off!
Hey, Andrew! How big's your dick? I bet you jerk to your precious drawings because you can't get any real pussy!
Hey, Rachel, how does my semen taste in your mouth?
And then what happens next? Just see for yourself. Yeah, someone made that. I know I said there were 3 main things included in the manifesto, but I don't know, think of it like side content, I don't know. Anyway, also included in the file was a video of himself flipping a coin. That coin flip would determine what would happen on June 7th of 2017. If it landed on heads, then his free trial of life would expire. But if it landed on tails, he would go to the supermarket where he worked at and end the lives of everyone there.
Got a 1983 quarter right here. You believe in fate? Here's the fate test. I'm gonna flip this 3 times, or the best out of 3 rather, and if it's heads, I'll do it here. If it's tails, supermarket. Just to the side, tails, which means there's gonna be a loss of a human life, besides my own.
Ultimately, the coin would land on tails, and from that point on, Randy would start tweeting about what would happen on June 7th on all of his Twitter accounts. This sick fuck was actually excited for what he was about to do that. Randy would then arrive at the supermarket with a duffel bag full of 200 shotgun shells and 2 Mossberg 590s that he had named after his original characters. Randy would then fire 59 shots, killing 3 victims: 25-year-old Victoria Braun, 47-year-old Brian Hayes, and the 63-year-old Terry Sterling. Another co-worker, Christine Newell, would escape and alert the authorities.
Basically, we were in one of the cashier side of the store, and we both had our headphones in, and I'm in the middle of the aisle, and B and I were goofing off, and then she walked over to where we had our tags for the night, and she was getting another stack to put up, and I heard a couple popping sounds and then a thud. So my reaction was, okay, what did I just hear? And I turned around to where V was to ask her, and I saw Randy there with the guns and V on the ground, and I'm in the middle of the aisle and they're towards the end of the aisle, so there's several feet away between us, and he let off 2 more rounds into V. And then for probably 3 to 5 seconds, he and I stared at each other, and then he walked up through the next aisle, and that's where he got Terry. So reached into my pocket and I grabbed my cell phone and I called 911 while I was in the store. I ran to where the self scans were, and I crouched behind there, and I couldn't see him still, so I ran a little further till I could see where he was. And when I saw that his back was turned to where my location was, I made it to the front doors where he had blocked it with a pallet. I was able to reach through to unlock the door, and when I tried to slide it, it wouldn't slide, so I slammed against it and popped it open.
After this, Randy would then turn the boomstick on himself, ending his own life. In Terraria. Sorry, I know it's not tasteful, but I have to keep it safe for YouTube. Although Randy is dead and therefore he doesn't make EGS content anymore, apparently he's actually cultivated a fan base that's interested in the lore of what he's created. All I can say, don't harass them, don't even get involved with them. You're probably messing with all kinds of crazy if you do. Just stay far the fuck away from it. But yeah, that's kind of it for this part of the iceberg. There's a video by Mr. Medicare that goes more into detail about Randy's personal life that I didn't get into because of time reasons and because it kind of doesn't matter. But like, it's still funny, so it's kind of worth checking out. I want to say thank you to Dylan for letting me collaborate with him on this, and if you like what you see here, or if you like the sound of my voice, or just the general vibe of this part of the video, then make sure you head over to my channel and subscribe. I'm sure Dylan will link me or tag me somewhere. So yeah, thank you Dylan, and bye for now.
Big shout out and thank you to Saber for helping me with this section and getting this iceberg done a little bit quicker. And again, you can check out his channel down below. But with that said, let's go over the final few entries of this iceberg together. Bonus entry, the Self-Help Forum. So this is one that I've been alluding to for some time now on this iceberg, and I think it's time I get to it in full. So amongst the many dramas and the like that happened on the DA forums, never was there a more vicious and disgusting area than that of the Self-Help Forum, or the Help with Life Forum as it's now called. While normally this section is already pretty dark, as it is due to this being a place for people to vent their issues regarding everything from IRL drama, their living situations, relationship stuff, etc. It was also used for discussing online drama, usually the sorts that were happening between users on the site itself. It could get very heated due to that. It also was a place where people grieved the dead, and sadly a place where people talked about taking their own lives. While this is strictly prohibited now according to the new rules, it used to run rampant on the site back in the day, usually involving friends falling out, online relationships, or trolls messing with people. I distinctly remember as a kid reading through the forums, and then eventually this one took my interest, because I sort of liked observing people, and this was a place where you could look into others' most intimate and vulnerable lives. I never dared write anything in there in response to any of it, but I do remember reading about people's relationship issues, and lots of posts about people being angry at their parents for one reason or another, and even terrible stories of their parents abusing them in various ways. It would be quite difficult to read at points, and I remember the ones where people talked about ending it all were often met with people trying to reach out and help them, and others mocking them. But ultimately, they were all strangers on the net with little to no real knowledge of what the other person was really going through, or if it was even real to begin with. See, while there were many who did use the forum to discuss their issues, there were also many that simply went to the forums for attention, usually to rally others around them, a strange way of advertising their page, a manipulative way of gaining friends, or in some cases because they're a compulsive liar and they just decide to fucking do it. There were even people that would set up fake troll accounts to make it seem like they were being trolled or harassed or stalked online, so that they could then rally people behind them as a victim, only for people to discover these people were lying later on, usually through a dumb mistake they made, or them just straight up telling someone later on, who would then go on to spill the beans. This became such a prevalent problem that many found themselves being cynical to anyone posting about this stuff, or the taking of their life, or really just stuff in general, with many trolling people who came to the forums after that, no matter what the reason, which was already a thing before, but it became far more prevalent as time went on and fact from fiction became all the more blurred. There were also people admitting to enjoying many of the fetishes across the iceberg as well, As one in particular I remember being a pedophile who was talking about why they were the way they were, much to the debate and disgust of many on the forum. While none of this stuff is archived to my knowledge, it seems like it's not used as much these days. Back in the day, this was a prime place for some of the darkest, most pathetic, saddest, weirdest, and just general, most sickening dramas on the site. And needless to say, I don't think DeviantArt is exactly the best place for you to be airing out this stuff. But then again, nowadays people seem to do that in vent channels on Discord servers, which I don't think is very much better. In fact, it seems to be even worse, depending on the community. So in general, I'd say maybe it's just not the best to air out this sort of stuff online. At the very least, not in a public forum. Bonus entry, Impaling Fetish. You guys familiar with Vlad the Impaler? You familiar with impaling in general? You know, where you shove a rod up someone's ass and usually through their mouth? That terribly gruesome way to die or be tortured? Well, there is a fetish, and a fair bit of fetish art centered around characters being impaled and dying in this terrible fashion, usually in quite gruesome detail. I can't really show you any of the pictures of this fetish, again because of the detail, and they're usually nude on top of all that, but trust me, it's out there and it's extremely fucked up looking, and even outright horrifying in some cases. And I really wouldn't recommend looking it up. Bonus entry, Purple Kecleon. Now this one is going to take a bit of time to describe. It's a real doozy, so buckle in. This is the type of creator that you could create an entire video around, all by itself, and who has had several very good videos made about them at that. So excuse me while I try to make sense of it for you in an Iceberg entry. Big shout out to the Kiwi Farms thread, which I'll be referencing and quoting from quite a few times during this entry, for documenting this monster's behavior. Behavior that they were very happy was temporarily wiped clean from the internet back during the whole Keffels drop Kiwi Farms thing that was going on. Funny how all the worst people with the worst crimes seem to celebrate that day. Very interesting. But anyway, to start, Purple Kecleon, now known online as Glitched Puppet, real name Melanie Herring, and current legal name Ash Hazel Woods, is an infamous furry webcomic artist known for not only her terribly written Christian levels of inserting real-life drama and self-pity into a completely incoherent webcomic by the name of Floriverse, but also for her history in the Pokemon fandom, various fallouts and spouts of internet drama, her obsession with porn and inserting it into spaces that have children in them, which she is fully aware of, her penchants for Pokemon and Sonic porn that she creates in particular, contributing art to furry cub porn magazines, that's child furry character porn, just to be clear. Oh, and her interesting lifestyle of being in a polyamorous relationship and fucking dogs. Yes, you did hear that right, and we will get to that in a moment. So to start from the beginning, PK, as I'll now be referring to them as, originally made a name for themselves outside of Oki boards and Fur Affinity on DeviantArt, as the admin of the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers group. She ran the group with Marl, her husband, Eevee, her boyfriend, as well as an extensive group of associates whom she had several fallouts with. The group was advertised as a family-friendly Pokemon roleplay group, which if you remember from a past entry like near the beginning of this iceberg, they were pretty common on this website back in the day, and naturally attracted many young users and teens to the group, looking to have some role-playing adventures. However, it didn't take long for this group to devolve into PK's Fetish Den, rife with drama that involved multiple characters being raped, PK and Marl rigging their own contest at one point so that their sock puppet account could win, PK's Mary Sue having sex with underage characters, and tricking users to go off-site to her porn Tumblr blog to read more from her stories and roleplays. Again, purposely exposing and playing in sexual roleplays with minors, amongst many other things. Due to this, much drama ensued, and at one point, nearing the group's ultimate end, PK had a fallout with another admin named Mike. This incident was based entirely on petty grievances, which led PK to make an overly long detailed call-out on Mike. And when I mean overly long, I mean good lord in heaven. This being a prime example of PK's tendency to write novella-length documents to destroy someone's credibility, based on her word alone, leading the subject of said call-out to be dogpiled by her minions, which sadly, yes, she does seem to collect around herself. But at some point, the group finally completely fell apart, and so PK and her husband left it behind in pursuit of an original project, that being the aforementioned Floraverse, which, of course, like the Pokemon Dungeon one before, had a family-friendly appearance, with a porn-themed sister site named Forbidden Flora. Of note, on the Bad Webcomics wiki, where they, document and review bad webcomics, they note in regards to Floraverse, quote, "It can be said that Floraverse itself marked the downfall of Melanie's career as an artist. Much can be compared between Melanie's art prior to 2013 and the art that is featured in the comic. Beanmouth is a symptom of Melanie's quantity over quality approach to creating as much Floraverse content as possible in a short amount of time. The story of Floraverse started off well, and many readers enjoyed the comic in the first year of its run. Due to the lack of resolve, the plot started to become incoherent following the publication of Try Again, and several concurrent and overlapping story arcs would run at the same time. Floraverse is also used by the author as a vehicle for their personal ideologies, further alienating their user base when readers discovered how insane Melanie and her harem can be. They also note, quote, "An adults-only extension of the comic, Forbidden Flora, also contains stories relevant to the main plot of Floraverse. Thus, reading pornographic comics is necessary to get the full story, something which is concerning as there are many underage fans of the comic. The authors have made no attempt to prevent minors from accessing Forbidden Flora, even though they acknowledge that minors read their comic. They also, on a last note on the actual plot of the comic, quote, "A bird and a blob go to deliver some seeds. Eventually they end up in a place known as Hellside. The importance of the seeds is never quite established. In fact, the original Floraverse story started in 2013 never quite ended." Ask any Floraverse fan about the plot and they'll probably shrug their shoulders. Over the course of the story, there are several omnipotent beings that tell the protagonist they will find out about the importance of the seeds soon. But this never actually comes about. The main plot never really advances, so a lot of content in smaller episodes that take place within the universe and over the story becomes more convoluted into the introduction of many one-shot characters and plot arcs that are never resolved, unquote. So yeah, but going beyond that and into their own personal life some more, around this time frame PK started using Tumblr way more often, and thus began to, shapeshift, shall we say, to it, including adopting the non-binary label, expressed a deep hatred for all things male, went on a rant about Spyro the Dragon not having enough female characters in it, and how she vows to make the female gender the default in her own webcomic. Oh, and she then took on the mantle of a sex guru of sorts, where she would give people on Tumblr, of all ages, advice with sex and with uncovering their sexual identities. Again, let me be clear, including minors, which she was called out on in this post. Quote, Anonymous asked, "I noticed you were giving advice to minors, and is it wrong that I find this kind of problematic? I mean, usually it's their teacher's or parents' job to talk about these things, not a random person on the internet, even if they have good intentions. Sorry if I sound rude, but it's just an observation that kind of irked me," to which PK replied, "If you feel the need to come to a random person instead of their teacher or their parent, then I'm not going to stop them. What would you prefer? They receive nothing instead? When I answer the questions from people who say they're underage, I take into account how I felt during being their age, and I take into account experience I have now. Be irked all you want, but don't do it at me or them. Be irked at the teachers or parents for making these kids feel like they don't have anyone else to turn to." Unquote. Very interesting. Funny how sex talk and sexual content and minors keeps coming up for this person as we continue. But nah, I'm sure they have only the best of intentions. Some other miscellaneous Tumblr and Twitter drama from PK include PK and her boyfriend chasing a Steven Universe writer off of Tumblr. That is to say that PK and Evie decided to go after Matt Burnett because of a consistency issue in an episode that had a character, that being Pearl, expressing that she liked pie. She has had her followers attack random people in the past for criticizing her works or her in general, and really doesn't seem to respond too kindly to people criticizing her, period, on the internet. At another point, when she was with her husband Marl and boyfriend Evie, again being polyamorous in relationship, Marl had sex with someone without telling PK, and she threw all the dirty laundry out for her minions to see, as you can see here in this Tumblr post, where she cries about how none of this would have gotten her angry if they simply would have said something to her first, to get her permission, because, well, I guess she rules the roost of this house of degeneracy, and while she's able to do as she wishes, her two minions are not allowed to do the same. Funnily enough though, right after that, her boyfriend Evie also wanted to have sex with someone without asking PK's permission. So in her anger, she made hate art of her Mary Sue decapitating both Marl and Evie for their merch store as seen here. The two of them eventually groveled back to her for repentance. However, as noted in the Kiwi Farms thread, quote, "The tables turned on the furry drama queen as an ex by the name of Pengo Solvent called her out on Tumblr, accusing her of being emotionally abusive in their relationship. While these allegations are based on Pengo's words alone, one thing that did surface are testimonies that PK's cuck husband Marl is a zoophile and a dog fucker. Multiple people came forward with allegations that Marl would slip into their DMs and ask them to f off his dog. When Marl caught wind of this, he and PK immediately threatened Pengo with a lawsuit, and Pengo took everything down as a result. However, in all this whirlwind of drama, Marl confirmed that he is into having sex with dogs, but that he doesn't appreciate it being dragged out into the public, as per quoted here. Yo Pengo, I will admit that I am into what the Anon person, who I am pretty sure is either Invader Pichu or Minun, mentioned, but I do not appreciate things I like being dragged out into the public eye. I've never pressured those people, and I've never posted things you've done to be ridiculed and scrutinized. I would ask you not to publicly publish this ask, but I don't know if that request would be granted. I have never once in my life had any ill will towards you, and I still don't." Unquote.
Yes, of course I love to fuck dogs, but, you know, you didn't have to be, like, rude about it and, like, tell everybody about it, you know.
But all this actually gets far worse. Quote, "In 2015, a person by the name of Lane posted on Kiwi Farms that Marl attempted to groom her when she was 13 in a Floriverse chat room to both have sexual relations with him and his dog. While there were no logs or receipts that confirmed her accusation at the time, PK, Evie's, and Marl's reactions and outright denial of anything happening set the stage to the incoming shitstorm. PK did her best to defend her dog fucker husband and insisted that she was 100% sure that nothing happened and Lane was a liar by trying to frame her as an underage temptress that tried to get older men into trouble. PK never provided any logs that proved this accusation, despite promising to do so." Unquote. And then after all these accusations, confirmations of both her and her husband's strange and disgusting fetishes and behavior, the full truth finally came out. But not before an attempt to rebrand after the recent controversies was done. Melanie actually changed her username from Purple Kecleon to Glitch Puppet, or Glip, at this point. Glip continued to do as she always did, however, and then the polyamorous trio started to become active in a Discord server, that was originally used to discuss her webcomic that eventually devolved into, you guessed it, yet more degeneracy and kids aplenty being there. But then, in 2018, a shitload of logs were leaked, finally confirming and showcasing just how demented, evil, and disgusting both PK and her two cucks were. The TLDR summary goes as follows. Quote, 1. Her husband Marl tried to groom a minor that goes by the name of Big Fluff to have sexual relations with him and his dog. 2. Marl pimps out his dog and is involved in the zoophile community. 3. He is also 100% aware that Big Fluff was underaged. And 4. He showed her a dick pic, his creepy zoophile listing, and how he could introduce her to a prostitute friend of his if she was interested in an escort gig. They arranged a real-life meetup to help out in the Floriverse merch store. Big Fluff visited the God Trio's Vegas house, and while there ran into Melanie, or PK, in the nude. Marl confirms that Melanie doesn't care about her age at all. After the business visit, Marl was pestering Big Fluff to visit again so they could finally have sex, bragging that he had bad dragon toys. It's implied in the logs that Big Fluff had multiple visits to the dogfucker home, and Melanie flat out ignored her. Consequently, a user dumped the logs on the official Floriverse Discord server, where Marl confesses through a moderator that the logs were true and that he had no ill intent. This caused a shitstorm of epic proportions where the mod attempted to backpedal and said the logs were fabricated because they came from Kiwi Farms. The logs were leaked on Tumblr and Twitter alike and spread like wildfire. An ex of Melanie tweeted about Marl also trying to get her to fuck his dog as well. The log also ended 2 business ventures for Floriverse. The comic was taken off of the Hiveworks website, and the ESC Toy ended their Floriverse toy campaign, unquote. So, shit's looking pretty bad for the trio. What's gonna happen next? Well, it seems they got, rather scared for once. Quote, 2 days after the incriminating logs were leaked, Melanie made an announcement of leaving the internet forever and locked her Twitter account. She firmly insisted that the logs were fabricated and that this was part of a harassment campaign. Evie claims that he believed that the logs were edited, but like Melanie, can't provide any proof. But then things took an unexpected turn a month later when their Vegas home was put up for sale and they fled from the state. Definitely the actions of a innocent trio. Evie broke his silence with a Patreon blog post proclaiming that Kiwi Farms killed Floriverse. The Floriverse Patreon, however, remained active and still charged monthly payments. Months later, the Glitch Puppet Twitter became active again. Melanie posted pictures of her new designer cat, and with some internet sleuthing, it was discovered that they were staying at Marl's parents' house in Arkansas, based on the cat pictures. Then, quote, on July 22nd, 2018, Melanie announced that she was divorcing Marl after months of silence. She also published an apology allegedly written by Marl, where he confesses that he is a zoophile, but only in fantasy, and the logs were edited to make him look worse than what he was. The apology is extremely suspicious in the way that it frames Melanie as the one true victim of his crimes, mentioning her 27 times, and how she was completely unaware of his zoophilic fantasies. A leak proved Melanie expressed that she was fully aware of the dog-fucking, however. In 2020, when people made note of this inconsistency to Melanie backpedaled and edited the apology with her commentary. More suspiciously so, the zoophile trio changed their legal names. Melanie was now Ash Hazel Woods, Marl was now Lycus Argent Woods, and Evie was now Evelyn Clover Woods. Melanie and Evie officially moved to Colorado while leaving Marl behind in Arkansas. Evie tweeted their new location publicly on Twitter, despite expressing fearing for their lives beforehand. thus they were immediately located and doxxed, unquote. This left many angry and suspicious because it was clear these people did heinous shit and were trying to get away with it. And what's more is because PK is such a manipulative person, she managed to paint a picture in which it appeared she was perfectly innocent, despite the fact that the logs and all the facts do not line up with her tailored version of reality. On a couple final notes, quote, now that Floriverse is tanking in relevancy and readers, Melanie has completely lost her mind, and shits out barely legible MS Paint comics and VNs. Melanie and Evie also created a game named Cherry Kisses, published on Steam. The objective is to run a sex shop as you're terrorized by a minor who wants to shut it down. The Floriverse Discord server was remade, but this time its intended purpose was for Melanie to use it as a therapy tool for her fans. She uses attack therapy through weird BDSM rituals, and she calls scenes. It is also worth noting that after divorcing, Melanie married Evie and quickly found a new moral replacement, an attack dog by the name of Axie, whom she cucks Evie with. There's a couple additional notes. She also loves playing with her own period blood, bathes with her various designer cats that she buys. Oh, and in case you were wondering what was up with that Evie person, well, they are a whole other can of worms full of their own strange behavior and degeneracy. But I think I'll just simply showcase this picture here with all these tweets defending pedophilia and owning CP. Very, very interesting. Yeah, so in short, PK is one of the most disgusting, weird, degenerate, and manipulative people on here. But what really makes them bad is that they are still around. They have an active Twitter account in Discord, and have continued to repeat the same bad behavior they always have done, but just under a different name, so that they might be able to have the chance of manipulating more into their sick games. In addition to all this, PK, or Glitch Puppet's current Discord server, is currently operating like a pseudo-cult of sorts, complete with, of course, child grooming, several confessed pedophiles and fetishistic freaks helping to run the server, and several testimonials and leaks showcasing just how fucked up everyone is in there. Which, in case you want to see all of this in more detail than what I can provide here in this iceberg, you can go check out the webcomic reliefs video series on the topic of both everything I've already covered, as well as stuff that happened more recently. Is people like PK that make sites like Kiwi Farms important, if only for documenting and spreading word of dangerous people like this, who should, along with their lovers, be put in jail at this point for all the heinous shit that they have done. But unfortunately, they have managed to time and time again get away with it all, despite their behavior being truly disgusting, evil, and illegal. A wretched sort that first came from DA, but now finds their home anywhere they can talk to children. Which brings me to one of our final entries. Bonus entry: the current state of DeviantArt / porn being banned. This one is pretty topical and, well, it's gonna have some widespread effects, more than likely, anyway. The long and short of it is that very recently DeviantArt has changed its policy about adult content on the site. Now, they've always been very wishy-washy on this topic, before as noted throughout this iceberg, with porn not being allowed but still clearly on the site anyway. But now they have changed their policies to be this. Quote, DeviantArt will remove 18+ / adult material which features real people, subjects fictional or otherwise that are under 18, including aged up characters, content offering sexual services, glorification of sexual violence, certain fringe sexual fetish topics, or other fetish creations that are hard to distinguish from non-consensual sex. Unquote. That underage thing, as well as the fetish material part, is what really is starting to hit some artists on here very hard, with many of them having their art taken down or their entire accounts being banned from the site. It's unclear why this sudden shift happened, though it does seem rather similar to when the site Tumblr did a very similar ban on adult content. And if history is yet again repeating itself, it means that there will be a grand exodus from the site, and whatever people were still using it will begin to jump ship elsewhere. That elsewhere usually being sites less niche, though some may opt for that, which means the fetish material and porn and content that they are making will now begin showing up far more often than it normally would have on your everyday websites. And any weird cultures that they have cultivated over there will also begin to blend in over on the general web as well. Though it should be noted that Tumblr had a very distinct culture it cultivated that made it quite the shock and change to other platforms when they were forced off their original domain. And DeviantArt doesn't quite seem to have the same unifying culture as Tumblr did at the time, especially since DA is often considered dead anyway these days. But nonetheless, this will have at least some impact on other platforms getting this finished material showcased more often, since their domain has kicked them out. It also means several pages I've talked about across this iceberg may cease to exist soon enough. So in a strange sort of way, this iceberg marked the death of the site and many of its users, documenting what may be their last days before they move elsewhere. Kind of funny that, but also tragic in that I will probably have to see vor art more often than I would like to. So thank you, people running DeviantArt. You have unleashed the beasts upon the world from what was once your den. Take this as a warning, dear viewer. The tidal wave is sure to be messy. But now onto our final entry on this iceberg. Bonus entry, Reicheru Ketsuki. So often on these icebergs, I tend to end on a rather existential note, or on a particularly dark figure that really isn't funny, kind of interesting maybe, but really is just more so horrifying and disgusting. And we certainly have had quite a few of those across this final tier at this point. For a bit of a change of pace, I'd now like to shift gears to some good old-fashioned, charming yet weird, cringe content, or as I like to call it, art. To start with, she of course has a DA account, which I suppose I'll give the bio of which a read for you. Quote, I know Japanese and I like to draw like the people on anime shows. My favorite hobby is singing! I like to write fanfiction too, and to anyone that says otherwise, you can suck it, XD. My best friend is Leela-chan, or Yuki, whatever you prefer. We've been together for a long time, and I'll never meet anyone as wonderful as you. I love you. Someday I want to draw very well and make my own manga, if I can. Right now, I make animations. I'm the creator of Blood Raining Night on YouTube. Reichiro. I'm part vampire, neko, hunter, and demon. I can do sorcery, and I work for the Yakuza, because I must kill people to satisfy my own needs, and to protect the world. A lot of my friends really love me, and I love them. I would die for them! I have special powers, like being able to read people's minds, and fight really well when I'm not hurt. Sometimes I can seduce people and then kill them. I can transform into a cat demon, not by choice. My favorite thing to do is shing and love Denny-kun from Italia is my love. This is all my character's info. Reichiri loves to write. I love to write too. I love to sing. I love to draw. So don't mess with me unless you're ready for a fight. Okay, thanks, bye. I write poems and make tons of pictures. So if you're looking for something, you'll find it here. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. I don't bite, unquote. So I think that perfectly gives you a taste of their personality. I'm sure it took a few of you back to the days of using DA, because this feels like classic DeviantArt bio incarnate. Fitting it should be the last we read. She also has several pieces of art, as you can see here, all of which showcase her mastery over the craft. Of a similar nature and quality, Reichiro has also wrote a fanfiction, which I would love to read in full for you. And maybe we can via Patreon/membership bonus video. But for now, why don't we quickly read the first chapter together? Quote, Chapter 1. The first rainy night. The sky was blue out. Reichiro had just opened her golden eyes to the morning, like she has for the past 17 years of her life. She groggily rubbed her hands on her eyelids and rolled over. She was staring Denmark in the face, or as she liked to call him, Denny. Denny-kun! She spoke softly, like floating butterflies on the breeze. Good morning. I've missed you in my sleep. I've missed you too. He took his hand and ran it down to the tip of her soft, furry ear. Her ear twitched with delight. I get worried about you sometimes, though.
Really?
Her golden eyes lit up like a light in a lamp in the dark night. Yes, of course. You work for the Yakuza. How else am I supposed to feel? Her eyes gazed downward, like as if trying to see something on the floor.
It's good to know there's actually someone who cares about my existence.
I love you with all my heart, Rei-kun.
Yeah, you do? I know you do. I love you, Denny-kun.
Reichiro purred. They kissed passionately like a woman and a man that haven't seen each other for 40 years. But have loved each other all that time. She wanted to drink his blood really, really bad, but she couldn't, for if she were to suck the life juices out of him, it would turn him into a demon vampire. Of course, she would never let anything bad happen to him. He was the love of her life, and her only love. Reichiro dressed in her outfit she wore to the Yakuza and got ready for work. She wore a white schoolgirl's outfit that had long sleeves, a red ribbon around her neck, red trimming that went on her sleeves, a red skirt, her brown hair tied up in a red ribbon as blood, and a big gun. Her long brown hair and blue highlight in the middle swayed in the breeze so beautifully. She could almost kill someone with her lips were really red, but she didn't need expected she would have a tough assignment today. Reichiro was out, prowling in the woods, when she heard a certain cackling. It was a witch.
Ooh,
The witch said in a nasty voice, like you're eating something slimy.
I see. There's a girl out to get me, and she thinks she's prettier than me, eh?
Well, Reichiro smiled, you are old and ugly, and I'm assigned to kill you. This will be the last time you fight me. Reichiro ran towards the hag, her breast delicately bouncing in the wind. The witch took out her staff and tried to smite her, but fell short when Reichiro suddenly disappeared and reappeared behind her.
I told you not to mess with me,
she said, slitting the witch's throat open. She put her lips to the wrinkly neck and sucked on it, really, really hard. The blood came pouring into her mouth like a waterfall of gore and violence. She was going home after killing the witch when she heard an unusual noise coming from the bushes. He said, I've come back for you. Reichiro was astonished.
Father?
She yelped.
You're supposed to be dead. Why did you come back? Why did you have to come back?
Tears of pain and darkness rolled down her eyes as her worst nightmare stepped towards her. I'm undefeatable, bitch! You had your chance years and years ago, but you failed. Now I'm back to get you.
You don't want to fight me, father.
She drew out a long, bloody sword and looked at him in a cruel way. I haven't come to kill you right now, but someday, beware. With that, he threw a smoke bomb at her and disappeared. Unquote. Truly brings tears of inspiration and light to roll down my eyes. You know what? I've decided. There will most definitely be a full reading of this fan fiction over on my Patreon and YouTube memberships. So if you want to check that out, it's most likely going to come out next month. Be sure to follow both of those. Just a reminder that I already recorded the entirety of the Sonic.exe remake over there, if you want to have a listen to that. But anyway, enough shilling. But while all this is cool, the main thing Reichiro may be known for in some circles, and is without a doubt their magnum opus, is their animated series posted on YouTube all the way back in 2012 by the name of Blood Raining Night, which seems to have been heavily inspired by many of her favorite animes, in particular Elfen Lied, it would seem. And while the full series can be found on YouTube, and someone has gone through the trouble of putting it all together into a nice 40-minute movie, I do feel as though that we simply must see a couple more clips from it. Wouldn't you agree, dear traveler?
Hey, good morning, Reichiro.
Good morning, Denny-kun. Yeah, I have to go to work today.
You gotta be careful. I worry about you.
Don't worry, I'll be fine.
You work for the Yakuza. That's dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you'll be okay.
Man, it is dangerous working for the Yakuza. I better be kept on my toes. Huh? Who's there? Hello. You think you're so pretty and so awesome like you're gonna kill me. But I know better. I'm gonna kill you. I'm supposed to. It is part of my job. Neon! Goodbye, you pathetic bitch. Worthless. Well, I guess that's it for today.
Why, hello there. It is me, your father.
My father's dead.
I've come back to finish what I've started. I've come back to destroy you, bitch.
Hate you.
Good luck with that.
My dad. He's back. Oh!
Well, it's nice to see you again, Rachel.
Huh? Oh, Inuyasha-sama.
How did the battle with the witch go?
Great! But, my father, he is alive.
No! How can he be alive? Your father is dead.
I don't know how it happened. Yeah, crap, where am I? Yeah, did I kill someone? Hey, who the fuck's there?
It's me, the showman, the vampire lord.
How the fuck are you still alive? You died.
So you all thought. My brother. I have come to take vengeance on our mother. And kill him.
He loved your mother. You need to let go of the past.
You think you can stop me? Rachel Ketsueki Nekeoni? Your time is up.
But I can't let you do that. Neon!
God, what the fuck? There are no Neko-Onis left.
You were wrong about that.
Ah!
What a fucking show off.
Shut up, Lucy. No need to be a dick. Calm down, guys.
Did I introduce you guys to my new TA?
Hello, class. You may call me Alucard.
Oh my god! He's beautiful!
You pathetic whore. I'll end your misery.
Don't push me, Lucy.
Or what?
I'll seduce you.
Well, I think that's enough of that for now. But if you'd like to see more of this masterpiece, links will be down below. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of our journey. We've seen all that there is to see within the DeviantART Museum. And it only took, like, what, a year or so of, walking about? I hope you all have enjoyed the journey as much as I have. Which is to say, I hope that you've enjoyed the videos, but, on the other hand, Congratulations! It's over! You never have to look at another one of these disgusting fetish-filled landmines or pits ever again if you don't want to. I know that I will certainly be avoiding almost all of this disgusting shit as much as I possibly can within the near to distant future. But all the same, it has been fun going down memory lane a little bit, and showcasing some of the more interesting figures on the site. Once again, a humongous thank you to Nora for not only making this iceberg, but also creating a Word doc for me to be able to quickly look into things and have a kind of like basis for all the entries going forward, as well as reaching out to me to do this whole DeviantART Iceberg thing to begin with, so a humongous thank you to them. I also want to thank all the people who helped me in both researching as well as the suggestions for the final tier of this iceberg. You all had some very interesting stuff. And in case you're wondering, the next iceberg has already been decided, and I am currently working diligently to have it all put together, because it is, yet again, going to cover another website, and its history and its many users. But I will be taking pieces from other icebergs as well as developing some of my own and getting some suggestions from you guys to fill it out to make it as comprehensive and interesting as possible. But all that being said, what is the website in question? Why, none other than Newgrounds. That's right, I'm going to be covering the entirety of a, well, yet to be fully developed Ultimate Newgrounds iceberg. The first part of which you can expect early next year. It's gonna be a big one, so if you want more updates regarding its progress and what have you, then you can go and join my Patreon or channel memberships and you will get updates as it is being produced. But also, if you happen to want to be part of the iceberg, possibly having a suggestion or two from you on it, then you can also join my Discord server and suggest things there. Or you can just DM me on Twitter or Instagram and I might see it there as well. Yet again, if you're going to suggest something, make sure you provide links and a little bit of information about the topic beforehand, so that way I can quickly decide if it's going to fit in with the iceberg or not. But all that being said, I hope that you all look forward to the next big iceberg project, as well as all the other stuff coming out within the next couple months, including the Linkara chapter of the Channel Awesome Retrospective. I also want to take this opportunity to thank all of my loyal patrons and channel members, including all of my night eggs and my night outlets, as well as a very special thank you to all of my great night owls, including Channel 11, Hexmaniac Hannah, Tony Terramaya, Icy Dice, Ho Hot, and Medusa's Hex, as well as a super duper special thank you to all of my arch owls, including the Savory Salt, the Wise Nicodemus, the Talented CherryNGT, the Good Chi Vibes Zen Garden Party, Tad, aka I Said Fuck It, Heaven's a Really Long Walk, the Super Saiyan Star Punch Gaming, the Fearless Forgotten Ace, and the other Super Saiyan Sword. Thank you all so very much for your support, and thank you all for watching this iceberg series to its end. I hope to see you next time we take a deep dive. But until next time, this has been Dylan the Night Owl, flying off.